learn differently. What are you doing?
Doing my time in a pressed white collar. I was sipping my juice from a box when I saw her. She walks in clean, a straw in a wrapper, no crime on record when she gave me a holler. Behind the bars of detention, paying no attention, no rap, no rhyme, just laying down a sentence. People learn different. Who am I to say no? The bad kids stay, the good kids go.
Wait a minute.
Hello, I'm Austin, and I hope you enjoyed those fire beats because today I want to talk about 1000xResist. 1000 times resist? 1000's cross resist? I'm not sure how to say it, but I do know that this is an incredible game. And that's with pretty basic gameplay. The story really is just that good. That does make this a bit of a more difficult game to talk about though. The gameplay is pretty basic overall, and doesn't really show just how incredible of an experience this is. But I don't want to spoil any of the story for you. I want you to go play it and find out for yourself. You're just gonna have to trust me, and I hope this video can explain that this is worth playing. So come with me as I explore the orchard and show you the world of 1000xResist. Let's start with the gameplay, as it is probably the easiest to explain. It is a game that involves a lot of running around and talking to people. You are going to run around and talk to people so much it's easy to think that's the entire game. You also might get a bit annoyed because the map was drawn by a child and it isn't very easy to understand. I could often see a waypoint but couldn't quite figure out how to get to it. While that sounds annoying, and it is on some level, the actual conversations are absolutely worth it. Most of them are completely optional. You don't have to talk to everyone, but you will be missing out if you skip the conversations. You learn so much about the world and characters that makes it absolutely worth doing. I was completely engaged and I never wanted to progress without talking to everyone I saw. And I'm an introvert. I hate talking to people. It helps that, for the most part, you are exploring and talking to these people in the same place, the orchard. You will end up becoming intimately familiar with this location and can explore to find hidden areas as well. Navigation was a tad annoying at first, but I became familiar with it in just a bit, and in just a bit, it became my new virtual home. 1000xResist does a fantastic job of making this futuristic sci-fi society feel so real. It's strange and unusual, but it's written so well I could feel right at home. It's even more amazing since everyone is cloned from the same person and yet they feel incredibly singular. I don't want to spoil anything, but learn these characters. It might not seem like it at first, but these characters are deeper than they appear on the surface. You will notice their growth and changes all throughout the game. These conversations aren't meaningless fluff. These are important, integral gameplay moments. Speaking of gameplay, let's talk about the second most common gameplay type, swinging from rings to move through areas and explore the past memories of the All-Mother. You play as Watcher, a blue who has been tasked with having communion with her fellow sisters. This involves seeing the memories of their god and who they are cloned from. This is how you learn more about how the society formed and why it's underground and what happened to humanity. You also learn about the occupants, giant headless humanoid bodies that spread a disease that caused all body fluids to spill from the eyes until the person died. Well, I wouldn't have anything to worry about that. Everyone knows real men don't cry. Seeing how society is reformed underground by these clones who treat each other as sisters is genuinely fascinating. I promise, the second you think you understand what's happening, you will get a deeper look that will make you question everything you thought you understood. The game is paced incredibly well with a variety of gameplay elements. The two I mentioned don't cover everything. There are puzzles where you have to understand speech patterns, first-person segments, incredible set pieces that will leave you speechless as you try to understand the ramifications of everything. A giant pigeon is there. 10 out of 10. That said, this isn't what I would call a gameplay-centric game. I know that sounds odd, but this is more of an experience. There isn't really a lose state. You can't die, there isn't any combat. It is pretty similar to games like Gone Home and What Remains of Edith Finch. It's more of an overall experience with a story to tell. That said, those are just the closest I can think of. 1000xResist is definitely its own beast here. So, let's talk about what makes this game so amazing. This is one of the best stories I've ever experienced in a game. I was captivated from the moment I hit New Game. I've talked about it a bit up to this point, but 1000xResist follows the story of Watcher and her sisters in an underground society made up entirely of clones. They all follow and worship the All-Mother, the original whose hair they are cloned from. Watcher is one of 6 sisters: Watcher, Healer, Knower, Fixer, Bang Bang Fire, and the Principal. These are their names as well as their functions. There are also shells who match the color of these 6 who support them in their job. Bang Bang Fire is orange, handles defense. Fixer is green and handles repairs. Watcher is blue and watches. Healer is pink and heals. Knower is purple and is basically a librarian. The Principal is red and basically serves as a general leader, with the All-Mother being in a separate area where only the best sisters are allowed to go. Can confirm, names are accurate. Except for Bang Bang Fire, who really isn't a fan of doing the Bang Bang Fire. I would expect somebody named Bang Bang Fire to be far more into guns than they are. That's the very general setup. This is a very unique society with their own religion and beliefs. It is very well thought out, and the game does such a great job of exploring the society. Its strengths and flaws, exploring these characters and the environment is my favorite part of the game. Watcher ends up looking back at the All-Mother's memories and exploring the past, how they ended up where they are, who the occupants are, and you learn more about the ancient sin and the ancient sister responsible for it. The story is complex with so many twists and turns that will often leave you reeling. It keeps getting more and more complicated with time jumps and new characters that reveal new glimpses about the society and the All-Mother. I was hooked, and I had to know how this story ends. Go ahead and call me Alan Wake, because I'm trapped in this spiral. Spiral really is the best word for it. I felt like I was rapidly circling around the answers I seeked. I kept looking back at everything and seeing it through the lens of new information. It is absolutely addicting. You see, these characters change with time. You see cracks in the society forming, the cloning pods are delivering more and more stillbirths, sisters are getting restless, the occupants still pose a threat, making the surface uninhabitable. That isn't even considering the power struggle you start to see form. 1000xResist doesn't have combat, but it isn't a violent game at times. There is death and destruction, there's betrayal and hate, there's also love and the bonds of family. In the end, 1000xResist is more than just a cool sci-fi story with clones and aliens. It is a story about family and sin, about love and hate. Should a society be punished for the sins of the past? What memories should be held onto? Which ones just hold you back? It is an incredible story about the human experience, told in such a unique way. It's captivating and leaves you with so much to think about. I could tell you more, but I won't. I'm not going to spoil this for you at all. Go play the game, thank me later. 1000xResist is just good. It is a complicated game to talk about. The gameplay mechanics are simple and not really the point. If there's one flaw, it's that it isn't super graphically impressive. It has a solid art style, but I think it would be even more engaging with more detailed characters and environments. The characters all being clones, so looking nearly exactly the same makes some of the side characters a little difficult to tell apart, especially since they don't have names. They're just called something like Observant Shell or something like that. This is all completely explained in-game. It just leaves me staring blankly at whoever I'm talking about as I try to recall our past conversations. This is a good issue to have overall though, because it means I'm engaged with these characters. I want to remember what happened and I want to follow their journey, even these side characters. 1000xResist is a complicated game to really talk about without spoiling, but it's something I really wanted to do. This is such a good game, and if I can convince at least one of you to buy and play it, I will be very happy with that. A game this good and unique deserves all the attention it can get. The story is incredible, the characters are unique and interesting, the gameplay is light, but fun and does a good job of mixing things up. You should play 1000xResist. I won't lie and say this game has mass appeal. There will be those who don't like the slower, less action-oriented gameplay. The lack of combat is going to be a turnoff for a lot of people, but that's part of what makes this game so special. It isn't afraid to be different, to be unique, to be itself. It isn't afraid to just ignore the popular gaming conventions and do what it wants to do, and I really appreciate it for it. I truly love 1000xResist. Unless something incredible comes out, I think this will be my game of the year, and I just didn't expect that going in. I knew almost nothing about this game other than I heard it was pretty good and I thought it'd be a fun video to make. If you like unique experiences, I think this is a game you will appreciate. Even if you don't vibe with it quite as much as I did, I still think there's a lot to like here, and it's something that's at least worth experiencing even if you don't end up loving it. This is exactly the type of game that inspired me to make videos like this. I want to highlight these incredible experiences that might just fly under the radar with all these games coming out constantly. Make sure you subscribe and like this video so I can spread it around and so I can get as many people to learn about 1000xResist as possible. And if you've played it, I want to hear your thoughts about it in the comments below, or just tell me about your favorite game of the year so far. Thanks for watching, and go buy 1000xResist.
Mother loves you and cares for all your sisters. She has powers and wisdom beyond imagine. If there's danger, she surely has prepared us. I dreamed we sisters were the stars up in the sky, all gently tethered to a brilliant sun for life. The All-Mother, she shines so bright, but Mother's glow is not as warm as it had seemed to be, and it feels very far from me. And it feels very far from me. Love your mother and trust in her teachings. Do your duties and carry out your function for a future far from sin or incineration. We're all just flowers in a garden of her making. Soon we'll grow beautiful enough to be worth taking. The All-Mother, she shines so bright, but Mother's glow is not as warm as it had seemed to be, and it feels very far from me. And it feels very far from me.